a really important aspect of filmmaking and really any creative outlet is file organization and data storage, but we seldom talk about it because it's pretty boring. But today I got a new hard drive, so we're going to be talking about how I organize my file structure. Hey, what's up? My name is Tony. I'm a filmmaker in St. Louis, Missouri. I'd love for you to subscribe to this channel to keep up with what's happening in my life and to learn a few tips and tricks on how to take better photos and make better videos. Today we're talking about file management, which really is not very sexy, but if you can dial in your file management, your data storage, you will become a better filmmaker and photographer just because you have more time. You're not searching for files, you're not trying to get everything lined up. It's all synced and ready to go. So I'm gonna share a few different tips and tricks that I do for my file management, starting with the hard drives. The way that I work is when I start a new project, I actually put it on a smaller hard drive that I can take with me. This is a 2 terabyte Lacie rugged mini drive that I just kind of keep in my bag with me all the time so that I can always work on whatever project I have, no matter what computer that I'm on. Then once that project is finished, I'll throw that on my main 8 terabyte one that I just got that will be hooked up to my iMac workstation in the back here. And so what I'm gonna do today is talk through how I organize my files, whether it's video, whether it's photo, and how that all works together. It's all the same system. And if you can dial in your system, I guarantee you that you will have more time to create because you're not trying to find this project or find this asset, whatever you need to do. So let's jump into the computer and we can show you around. Let's go. All right, welcome to my computer. Let's go into my main drive and I'll just show you basically how I organize. I start with the year. Everything from 2018 will be in here and 2017 for my photos, just because that's the way that I organized my catalog this year. Next year, I won't do that. So you'll see I put all of my raw files together in one place. Whenever I import them into Lightroom, I always have them stored here. So all of my raw files, this is huge. This is like 600 gigs for this year, but all of my raw files are in one folder, so I know exactly where to find the root folder if I ever need to. Another thing is all of my Lightroom files are in one place, and I have several different catalogs for different things that I'm doing, but they're all in the same place. Now my contract editing is, this is jobs that I got paid for. So like portrait shoots, if I was editing a wedding for someone, they'll go into this folder. And it's the same thing. I have raw, and then I have my folder for the Lightroom catalog. It's in its own catalog, separate from all of my other photos. That way, if I ever need to go back and get these projects, I can open them completely by themselves. All right, so that's it. Photos, pretty easy. Video is a little heavier. Once again, it's all in 2018. My first folder that I have is assets and resources. And the only thing that is in here is things that I use in more than one project. If I know that I'm gonna keep using assets, say my lower third that has my name on it, that's in here. Any kind of LUTs and profiles, my opener, overlays, things that I'll use in multiple projects, that will be in my assets and resources. And if you put a 01 before it, it'll be at the very top no matter how many folders you have. B-roll, I put this in here as things that I may not have a complete project for, but I know that I'll use the footage. A good example of this is Denver. I went to Denver a couple weeks ago. I didn't have enough footage to make a complete video, but I knew that I would want to use that footage at some point. So I store it here. That way I have the footage organized. You'll see it's by date and then a little bit of description of what it is. So that's how I organize all the footage that I don't have a full project for. Now, when we get into the projects folder, you'll see here that I have something called 00 template. So that means that the 00 lets it be at the very top of the folder no matter what else is in there. And it's a template. So when I start a new project, I will just go to duplicate this folder. Then I'll just rename this whatever the new project is. I always start with the date, 2018. Let's say it is 12/03/8. Yeah. So December 3rd, 2018, and then I'll put the name of the project, test project. So now we have our project already. You can see all of my all of my projects are labeled like this. It's the date and then the description. And inside this template folder is already just these extra folders that have my assets, my audio, my graphics, photo, video, and then exports. And so whenever I export a project, it will be in this folder. Whenever I import footage, I'll stick it in this folder. And then once I have all of my footage imported into these folders, I just simply grab this assets folder and drop it right into Premiere Pro, and it's all in there organized, ready to go in Premiere Pro. Pretty cool. I'll show you an example here, Jeep Stock 18. So you'll see here, it's got all of my assets, everything is organized. You have audio, graphics, photo, video. Within the video, then I organize it by camera. So I've got 5D Mark IV, 80D. This is somebody who gave me his footage, GoPro 5, iPhone 10, Mavic Pro. It's all organized within there. And then I'll just drop all my files in there. Then when I get into Premiere Pro, I just take this, boom, and then I can easily navigate within Premiere Pro. I'll show an example of how to do that. So I've got this project open up. This is the one that we're working on currently. And so if I want to import footage, the way that I'll do it is I will just grab, where are we at? I will just grab the footage from this and stick it right into, so file management. This is on my 2 terabyte drive, so I'm working off this drive. All I have to do is just drag this in here, boom. What happens is it imports all of it into that folder system. So this was a duplicate, so there's nothing in there, but you'll see here, video, audio, and then MoGraph. Pretty easy. Okay, so now that we're in Premiere Pro, I'll show you a trick on how to handle 60 frames per second. I made a test folder here, right here. We'll just drag this in for the sake of the example. It's importing some footage. This is 60 frames per second. And so the way that you properly do it is I actually duplicate this folder. So now I've got 2 folders of the same exact files. So in here you got just a couple, and here you got a couple. So then what I'll do is I'll rename this one so that it says 60p or even slow-mo, depending on how you want to label it. Slow-mo. And then you select all of your files. I did that by hitting Command A. Then if you go into Modify, Interpret Footage, then if you assume this frame rate as 23.976, then it will actually play back as slow-mo. So now you can see here, get rid of these windows. It will play in slow motion instead of regular speed, so that you don't have any kind of jitter or anything like this. It's actually interpreting the footage as if it was 24 frames per second opposed to recorded in 60 frames per second. All right, cool. So you'll see there, now what can happen is I can pull the footage from this, but if I still want the natural audio, or maybe there's a talking clip in here that I need, I can grab it from this bin without speeding up the footage, and I can take the audio straight from there. So this is in full speed then. Works out pretty well. So that's how I organize everything. It's all organized within my projects. Once I'm in Premiere Pro, I'll make sure that everything is in its appropriate place. So I've got my sequences. That's the only thing that I'll have in here besides this assets folder. And then in here, I can add, like say I want a black video, I'll stick that in my assets because I don't need to clutter up my sequences window. So I may have 4 or 5 different sequences depending on what I'm doing for the project, but you'll never see all of the extra stuff because it's all in the assets. So I'll stick my adjustment layer in here, I'll stick my black video, I'll stick all of that in this assets because it's considered an asset of the video. All right, cool, that's it. All right, friends, thanks for hanging out with me for a few minutes. Hopefully you learned a few things. I know that file management is a little boring, but if you stay on top of it, I guarantee you, you will be able to produce more work because you're more efficient. Also, I've been testing out my Zoom F1 that I did a unboxing on a couple of weeks ago. Let me know in the comments section if you think that the audio sounds better, worse. What do you think? Thanks, guys. See you next week.